Hello and welcome to Fresh Face Comics, the comic book podcast where a lifelong comic book reader guides his friends through the world of comics for the first time. My name is Joey Morgan, the aforementioned lifelong reader. With me, as always, is Jacob Licklider, the aforementioned newbie.
Beware the Ides of March.
What?
When this is releasing, it's the day
Oh my
before the
god!
Ides of March.
So you're good with keeping up with that shit. I'm just like, okay, this will come out in like a couple weeks. I don't know.
You don't know. See. My goal is to have a different introduction for every episode in the year.
Well, good luck with that. Good luck. Fucking hell. All right. Welcome to Fresh Face Comics. Today we are entering our second Batman block. It's only a quick 2-episode Batman block. Today we are continuing on from our very first episode of Fresh Face Comics, Long Halloween by Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale. This is the sequel to that, Dark Victory by Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale. And yeah, we'll be talking about that. We're doing another Batman episode next. After that, we're going to be moving into some more DC stuff, but a different sort of family from what we've done before. And also between that, before we get into that, we have a bonus episode coming out next week. So in the off week between Dark Victory and what the next official episode is, we're doing a bonus episode. We're talking about Matt Reeves as the Batman. That should be really fun. We're both going to see that. So really looking forward to recording that. Also, before we get into this, as always, thank you all so much for your support. It's really been nice to see how the podcast has been growing with the past couple episodes, especially since we've gotten into like the latter half of the Superman stuff that we've done. We've seen some pretty steady growth, and it's nice to see there. So of course,
steady growth and much less drop off than I was anticipating.
Yeah. So thank you all for sticking around. It really does mean a lot. Of course, as always, if you like what you're listening to, just leave us a rating. Hopefully, it's a good one. Subscribe, whatever platform you're listening to us on. Also, subscribe to the Blood Donut Studios YouTube channel. That means a lot. We have some more cool content coming out. Actually, I think I would have just released an extra video between Doomsday and this one. I forget exactly what it'll be, but it'll be something, I swear. But
it'll be something.
It'll be something. Yeah, so for now, let's just get into Dark Victory. This is a really exciting one. I know you were really excited to read this.
Yes.
Tell me what Dark Victory is. Also, this is our non-spoiler section for those that don't know.
I will warn you. I will warn everybody because this is a sequel to The Long Halloween. Even the non-spoiler section, kind of by necessity, will probably contain spoilers for The Long Halloween.
If you have not read The Long Halloween, we will definitely be talking about how this directly follows up on The Long Halloween. So,
and honestly, I will say the first thing that surprised me was just like this doesn't feel like very much a poor sequel. This is a very smart sequel of we are going to take the ending of The Long Halloween and we are going to run with it.
It keeps the same structure as Long Halloween. It does the exact same structure of like the year-long event of these killings that are happening within each month. And there's a holiday that they always happen on, so it's done in the same style of the holiday killings. But we'll get into the how of each.
Yeah, the modus operandi is different. Yes. There are more suspects this time around. Let's be honest.
There are.
There's a lot more suspects.
I was really happy with the fact that you were so stumped by this one.
Yeah, this one stumped me.
We did a really fun thing where you read the last issue on a Discord call with me, and I was like, okay, before you get into this, like, what are your final predictions? Like, who's the killer? And you had nothing.
I had nothing.
You had absolutely nothing. So that's really great because I know, at least with Long Halloween, you were pretty certain of Alberto before you got to the reveal. Obviously Gilda not so much, but Alberto like being like the main killer. That's you can definitely see it coming. This is harder to pinpoint, but it is still just as good a twist. I think it makes just sense.
I will say Loeb is really good with foreshadowing who it is. Because going back, you could just see who the killer is at that point, and it makes so much sense. I'll also say this is a very important next step in the characterization of Batman. I'd say Long Halloween and Dark Victory as a pair are basically Loeb's statement on this is who the character of Batman should be. This is how you characterize.
And you haven't even read Hush yet. Like Hush isn't directly a sequel to Dark Victory or Long Halloween, but it is definitely like in the same style.
It's the same. It takes place over like a year.
Yeah, and Loeb has a lot to say about Batman's character in that in particular. So we will
Includes
definitely
a lot
be
of
doing
character
that someday.
drama.
Yeah. But yeah, like on Batman's character, like Loeb has a lot to say here. Obviously, every cover of Dark Victory leaves no surprise. Dick Grayson, aka Robin, shows up in this.
And
so
me knowing that going in is like, okay, this will be interesting because this is, I guess, my first prose exposure to the Robin origin. Though,
yeah.
Technically, though I think technically my third. Yeah.
No, second.
Third.
Second.
No, third.
That's right. That's wait, what?
Batman Forever, the animated series, and now this.
You're talking about just Dick Grayson in general. You mean the origins? Oh, so you meant the origin in particular. I was like, okay, gotcha. All right, sorry.
Yeah.
I was confused.
Yeah,
I thought you were referring to stories you've read with Dick, in which case it's just Court of Owls.
No. Yeah, this is my first retelling of his origin in like a prose form, but it is my third story where I've experienced that origin, and one of those we will also talk again at the end of the podcast, I believe.
Yes. Yeah. Yep.
With some interesting things to say. I really like, once again, is how Bruce Wayne is characterized.
Mm-hmm. And also Dick being a big part of this story. We can really analyze the relationship between Bruce and Dick, and why Batman needs someone to fight alongside him. It's a really, really interesting analysis.
And I don't think it's a spoiler to say it takes a while for Dick to show up. Like,
yeah, that's fair to say. Even longer yet for him to become Robin.
But like he's, but like Loeb uses that time to reflect on the end of Long Halloween, because like this Dark Victory is very much a theme. A big theme in this is what happens when characters are left alone, or when they push others away.
And of course, being one of the biggest parts of Long Halloween, Harvey Dent, aka Two-Face, is back in this, and not just, he doesn't just play an active role in the plot. He does, of course, but also just his impact on the other characters around him, specifically around the events of Long Halloween. Those ripples of his turn of character. We really see how that affects Bruce in particular, but even Jim Gordon. You see how it affects everyone around him, and delving into him personally, well, it is interesting. It is. I don't think is nearly as interesting as the effect that his transformation to Two-Face has on others.
Yeah, I mean, those are basically two very interconnected ideas, though, because you see a lot of that. You see so much of it through here. I'll also say it's also telling that Harvey doesn't show up as much as you would think.
Yeah. But then again, also, like, the book is very much about him.
It's about him, and it's about Bruce. It's also about Gordon. I'd also argue I argue that Dark Victory, more than Long Halloween, pushes the transition from mobsters to supervillains.
I think at this point it's more the remnants of the mobsters.
Yeah, no, but it pushes that transition from sort of, the Long Halloween was a tipping point. This really pushes it over.
Long Halloween is like, we kill off the two big ones. You kill off Carmine Falcone and Sal Maroni. They're the two big ones. Once they're gone, that's the end of not organized crime as a whole, but definitely, like,
organized crime as the rulers of Gotham City. It's also very much we can now have Gotham police reform, which isn't quite a theme in this one. Well, it kind of is.
Yeah. Well, no, it definitely is, because also this book is very much a book about the Gotham City Police Department. Even more so than Long Halloween was, because of the victims of these killings. Obviously, again, we'll get into that more when we get into spoiler territory. But I really love the effect that it has on the GCPD. What this new string of killings is, because it literally is the exact opposite of the victims of the Long Halloween killings.
Yeah, and there is a lot of dark parallels. I think it's also telling that the title of the miniseries, Dark Victory, is taken from a film noir starring Bette Davis and Humphrey Bogart. Like
that it is, yeah, that it is, definitely. I mean, you could tell, like, the influence there is definitely those old film noirs, and Loeb does that perfectly, I think. Also, in addition, much like Long Halloween, Loeb uses a menagerie of Batman villains throughout this. He even touches on a couple that he didn't really take advantage of last time. We see Mr. Freeze here, who was totally absent. Penguin plays a bigger role in this one. It's really cool to see these other characters playing around in a way they definitely hadn't before in the Long Halloween.
Yeah, I'd also say the Riddler plays a really important role, a really active role. He's an important character, which is telling, because in Long Halloween he had that one issue, which was a great issue.
Trust me, I know.
Yes, it's also very interesting just to see Tim Sale keeping the artwork the same. His style.
It really does. Like, despite the fact that there is a stark contrast to Long Halloween throughout here, it still feels like all one story if you're putting it alongside Long Halloween. Yeah. I would love to get the omnibus someday. There's an omnibus that has all the Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale Batman stuff. It has the Haunted Night one-shots, Long Halloween, and Dark Victory right back to back, and then it has Catwoman When in Rome. And I would love to see that, just to see like how smoothly it flows from one to the next.
And I imagine it would have to flow, really smoothly. I also Gregory Wright is back on colors.
Yes.
Who I forgot to mention in the first episode by name. I misattributed the colors to Sale.
You did, but we corrected that in the YouTube version, but obviously not in the audio versions because we can't. Gregory Wright is doing colors here, just as gorgeous, I think, if not more so.
If not more, there isn't as much of a bookend parallel with the coloring like in Long Halloween, but there's still just the gorgeous shots, gorgeous use of going to black and white, or even a lot of monochrome of just different. Different styles of monochrome, very much like an old silent black and white film that has the film physically tinted. Which definitely. I love. There are some great scenes. One that strikes me is the one at the end of issue 6, beginning of issue 7, where it's all in blue.
Oh yes, I know what you're talking about.
Because it's an outside night scene. And the issue titles are very different. Like, despite taking place around holidays, none of the titles are holidays. They're all
but they do still take place on those holidays.
Yes,
the same ones that they would correspond to in the Long Halloween.
But they're all very short one-word titles, generally having something to do with the legal process.
Also just emotions.
Emotions.
There's a chapter called Hate. There's a chapter called Love. Love was, of course, the Valentine's Day one. There's a lot to read into here. But especially you mentioned the legal process. That I love how that ties into the killings in this, and the little sort of calling card that is left with each of the killings. I can't wait to talk about that. I can't wait to get into spoilers. Can we just get into spoilers, or do you have anything else you want to mention?
I have a couple of things. I love the parallel of opening with war, ending with peace. I love that there's an issue 0 prologue that isn't a full issue, but it sets the scene so nice.
It was a free comic book day release, I think.
That makes so much sense. It's I'd also say it just understands what it's doing, and fits so nicely alongside Long Halloween, and just fits nicely into Batman's sort of just canon in general.
Absolutely.
Like, I would recommend you pick this up just in general. It is a damn shame it's never been adapted in any form.
Right, there's so much talk about how great Long Halloween is, and it's totally deserved. Like, Long Halloween is amazing. But this is a very overlooked sequel, and I think wrongfully so. It definitely needs more love than it gets.
Yeah, it's a sequel just no one talks about. Like, which is a shame. They should talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
But I think we should talk about it. So
let's get into spoilers. Consider this a spoiler warning. Absolutely buy Dark Victory and Long Halloween if you haven't already.
If you'd like to see what we're doing next, just look in the description or jump to the end.
Jump to the end. It'll be like the last 2 minutes. 2 minutes probably. The last 2 minutes. Yes, this is your official spoiler warning. Let's get into it. Issue 0, prologue.
With this cover sets the scene perfectly.
Oh my god, yeah. Like they don't tell you anything of like what the killings are going to be like, who the story is centering around. This cover is perfect.
It is. It's the noose with Two-Face just being
held, the noose being held by Batman's gloved hand. Like, oh, perfect, absolutely perfect. We open here. Batman is on this bloody rampage. My God, look at that with the red eyes and everything. It's gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous.
And this is basically, we are setting the scene for where we are now that the long Halloween is over.
Yep.
And we immediately set up that Bruce is alone. There's this. Again, there's back to just some of the great monologues.
Mm-hmm. The constant like repeated dialogue in Bruce's head. What he's thinking to himself. Like, you could just imagine that he's been running this in his mind forever now. He's just been constantly saying, Alberto Falcone was Holiday. He must have been like constantly repeating this to himself because it's not that he can't believe it, but it's something that he has to keep telling himself because this is still an ongoing process, which brings us to one of the main pieces of this, being Alberto Falcone, of course, who was one of the holiday killers, as we learned in The Long Halloween.
As far as anybody knows, the holiday killer.
Yeah.
Nobody knows that Gilda Dent was the other one, was mainly the original one. And we have an introduction of our new district attorney,
Janice Porter.
Janice Porter, who doesn't get named until a couple of pages later.
But you had a lot of interesting thoughts on Janice Porter.
Immediately, she looks like Gilda Dent, and this is intentional. Like, this is intentionally planting seeds in your mind that this looks like Gilda Dent. Because they mentioned that, Gilda Dent hasn't been seen since her husband became Two-Face, basically.
Mm-hmm. She just like skipped town when it was all over, and obviously we as an audience know why, but it's easy to rationalize it for the rest of Gotham as like, hey, her husband became one of these crazy lunatics, these killers of Gotham City, and she ran off. Simple as.
And what she's introduced as is essentially trying to rehabilitate and save Alberto Falcone's life. Basically, because he's been sentenced to the gas chamber.
Yes. Yes. He still has his hand injury from what Batman did to him, and at the end there, he is smoking a lot, like a lot.
That is chain smoking. He's reading a lot.
Calendar Man is here, just still stationed right across from Alberto. I love that. I love that idea. Just the two of them like stationed across from each other. Just really cool parallel.
And of course, I can't help. You said it too, but I can't not imagine Calendar Man as David Deschanel doing that voice.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Das Malchen, I think.
Das Malchen. We have no idea how to say that.
It's a difficult name to pronounce, but he's amazing. Anyway, we see Janice meeting up with Jim here then, and we get this immediate sort of rivalry between the two that gets played upon throughout the book. She leaves and Batman is here. We see where they're sort of at, and Batman is sort of sort of forcing Jim to look away from Harvey Dent as a friend, and Jim is having a hard time dealing with that. Batman is trying to separate himself. He's trying to be the better man here, trying to get Jim to separate himself from Harvey, but it's not an easy thing to do, as we can obviously tell.
And it's immediately you can tell Bruce is pushing away Jim.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely.
He is there for 2-3 panels, and then he's gone.
Yeah. And this is something that Bruce will end up doing throughout the entire book. He's just constantly pushing people away, especially after what happened to Harvey, because Harvey ultimately ended up betraying him. For a while, Batman thought that Harvey could have been Holiday. But most of all, for most of Long Halloween and most of his career as Batman, Harvey Dent was a friend, and being betrayed in such a way is causing Batman to push Jim and so many other people that he cares about away from him and out of his life.
And let's be honest, really only Bruce is one of only 2 real friends of Bruce.
Yeah. And
he's pushing away the other one.
Yeah, and now Two-Face has joined the ranks of the Joker or the Mad Hatter or Scarecrow. It's just, one can only imagine how he feels. It's a great bit of character drama here. But let's move into chapter 1, War. God, what an opening panel. I am alone, and it's little Bruce Wayne.
Bruce Wayne, as we basically do another version of Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale's version of the killing of Thomas and Martha Wayne.
Yes. I never get tired of seeing these fuckers die. It's great.
All done in this beautiful, almost watercolor style.
Oh, yeah.
Just in black and white.
The reason that we're hearing the flashbacks, of course, is because we need to go to their funeral, and we need to see who attends the funeral. Carmine Falcone is there at the funeral of Thomas and Martha Wayne. And he says to Bruce, your papa saved my life. Should you ever need a favor?
Which Batman in the present monologues, this was evil.
Oh my god, fucking Jeff Loeb.
We are establishing this is Bruce Wayne versus the world. He is alone again.
Yeah. We're met with this beautiful silhouette of just him standing over this graveyard. As we are burying Carmine Falcone here.
Carmine Falcone on August 2nd.
August 2nd. We get a nice little parallel back to a Long Halloween. Selina Kyle is there for reasons that... Okay, actually, I do want to talk about this. So we get little hints to it here, but obviously what's up with Selina and the Falcone family because of the animated movie of Long Halloween.
Which I will say, that was a good decision to put that in the animated movie.
Yeah. If you're not planning to adapt Dark Victory or When in Rome, just put it there. It makes sense.
It makes sense.
But yeah, so you get a nice little parallel there. She says it's hot, but not as hot as the night that Johnny Vitti got married.
She is pushing everyone's buttons, which I love because
Selina
Kyle knows what she's doing.
Selina Kyle. Very important thing here, though. Sophia Falcone is not dead. She fell, terribly injured herself. Everything is broken. She cannot move. She is consigned to this wheelchair, has a brace around her head. We don't see that fully until later. Notably, though, she has these 3 scratches on her face, presumably from when from when Catwoman tried to catch her when she fell off the penthouse at the end of Long Halloween. So we get this nice little symmetry there with her and her father,
and very much her taking her father's role as the head of the family. And interestingly, Bruce is noticed by a sniper.
And is shot at, of course, because every single person in any sort of mob in Gotham City is here. They all start firing on him. Catwoman happens to be there because Selina Kyle.
Kyle is there.
They meet up. Everyone escapes, luckily. And Jim Gordon and the police arrive because shootout. I like this here though. We get a really good look at Falcone's grave here. It has this phrase on it. Veni, Vidi, and Vici.
Veni, Vidi, Vici. It's.
I came, I saw, I conquered. It means.
It's Roman basically. Roman Empire references, plus Godfather, plus Mobster.
Carmine the Roman Falcone. Yeah. So I love that. I love that. I'm just even dead. Carmine Falcone is just such an interesting character. There is such a rich world here.
Such a shadow over this book.
Yeah, he really, really does. So damn good. We go to the next day. Bruce Wayne is swimming, gets a visit from Selina Kyle. I fucking love this bit. She introduces him to Mario Falcone, who is Sophia's brother, one of the many children of Carmine Falcone. And Mario Falcone, Bruce is very stoic here. He says, Mr. Wayne, a pleasure. And Bruce just goes, weren't you deported? Which is so fucked, but I love it. Like it's just Bruce Wayne putting on this mask to push people away. And he successfully does so.
He's pushed Selina away. Like she's basically like, this is your last chance, Bruce, without saying this is your last chance, Bruce.
Mm-hmm. Mario at the same time also says that he's like, I understand there was some sort of debt to be paid between our families, but if you need anything, like here it is, I'm offering you my services. Bruce says the debt as you put it is paid. Now if you'll excuse me, Selina, you know the way out, whatever. Bruce is just really not taking it easy here. He is
pushing everyone away. He is stuck in his own head.
Speaking of people not in a good position right now, Jim Gordon.
A month later, also alone, we find out his wife is not speaking to him.
They are her and their son, little Jimmy Jr. are living somewhere else. And
back in Chicago, I believe they say eventually.
Yeah, and Jim just wants to talk to her. He is being interrupted by Janice. It hurts so much because especially, I mean, it's a book like this that I say, like, it's important to remember that Long Halloween was first conceived as a year one sequel. So we have this moment here, like, you're really invested, I think, in the Gordon family. To see it start to break apart like this, it really, really hurts.
And really, really sad. Again, I love the way the scene ends with Jim just sitting at his desk with with the rain outside and the blues.
Yeah. Yep. Meanwhile,
Portis drags him to Arkham Asylum.
Yes. This is the first time that I think Sale has drawn Arkham Asylum. And my God, I love this just wall here of cells. So many layers. You can just only imagine how many people are just kept here. It's so well drawn. I love it. We see Two-Face. We see Two-Face here. Just a great little moment where Gordon just wants to get it over with as fast as possible.
Because they are releasing Alberto Falcone into the hands of his brother Mario.
And Mario, like I don't know, like for me, they play him up as like one of the potential suspects later on. But I don't know, like I was never super suspicious of Mario. Like I always thought like Mario was like a decent guy at the very least. Like I believed his claims of wanting to like turn the Falcone family legitimate.
Yeah, even if they're fruitless.
Yeah. We get our first full look at Sophia here, with her whole head brace. Just, oh my God. Okay, so what were your first thoughts here? Because I know when we talked about Long Halloween, we said she fell. Were you like, what were you expecting from Sophia going into this? Like knowing that she's alive here now, did this change how you viewed her relationship to the story? Like, how important did you think she was going to be? Now that they must have brought her back for a reason. What were your thoughts?
I thought she was going to be really important. I thought I thought she was going to be more disfigured than she was, at least initially, and then you get that great scene a little bit later on.
But yeah, so like we have this here, obviously not in good shape here. She is partnering with the sons of Sal, right? Sal Maroni.
Yes, she is working with the Maronis.
Pino and Umberto Maroni.
Yes. Specifically to do a raid on Arkham Asylum to kill Harvey Dent.
Yes. We go over then to the Gotham City Bridge. We meet with Chief O'Hara here, who I need to talk about for a second.
Yeah, we need.
I fucking love that Chief O'Hara is here. Chief O'Hara, for those that don't know, is a character created by the Adam West '60s Batman TV show. Such a fun character. I remember just being in love with him when I first watched that show. He was a character that was incorporated into the comics not too long after his creation, but post like Crisis, when we started, I don't want to say taking the DC universe more seriously, but it's a fair enough statement to say, I think.
Basically trying to move away from Silver Age goofiness as the prominent form, I'd say.
Yeah. So this is O'Hara's, I believe, his first appearance post Crisis, and I just love that he's even here. I really appreciate that. He's a great character to have here. So Chief O'Hara is talking here with Gordon about something that he wants sorted out. He gives Gordon this list. I love the setup here. Like O'Hara's like a really great character to set up here.
And there's such a camaraderie. They discuss a little bit about the Waynes. We learn that that Barbara won't talk to him on the phone, but she writes, and the way writes is in bold just makes it pop out.
Yeah.
Like again, Richard Starkling is back on letters, and always excellent.
He gets the tone of the dialogue just perfect.
And you have this basic thing of could Gotham ever really be saved? And O'Hara ends the scene with, "You really want to know what I think? You should go talk to the Bat. You need to tell him what's going on."
And he tries to. And Batman, as he has been doing so far, is just pushing Jim away. He barely speaks to him. He says all of 2 lines to Jim in this scene.
And it was at this point, I think I messaged you, Joey, or so, just like, Loeb is really setting up why Batman needs a Robin.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It doesn't
just feel like he's doing it for the sake of it, just to be like, oh yeah, we need a Robin here. Let's start setting up. Like it feels like a natural continuation of Long Halloween at the same time.
It's a natural continuation. It's a statement of, this is why Batman needs a Robin. Not because he's going to be like violent, but because he cannot be alone. Like, he pushes too many people away, and it's bad. And again, we have the alone dialogue. Like, Jim knows that he's alone.
Yeah. We get pretty much almost the exact same scene here with Catwoman. Meanwhile, the raid is happening here on Arkham, or it's about to happen. Batman goes to visit Two-Face, and he asks him like if he's heard from Gilda at all. I love the difference between Harvey and Two-Face dialogue. The Two-Face dialogue has like this edge to it in the speech bubbles.
Yeah, it's almost scratchy.
Yeah.
It feels like the letters have been splashed with the same acid, and it's a really good way of differentiating it, because Two-Face's first line of one of Two-Face's first line of dialogue is, "Who the hell is Gilda?"
Batman eventually says he realizes that something is going on. He says, "Promise me, Harvey, promise me that no matter what happens, you won't try to escape." And Harvey, not Two-Face, Harvey says, "I promise."
I promise.
And we get this great action sequence then. Batman going to check on each of the inmates, trying to keep them all contained. We get Poison Ivy here, Solomon Grundy. He goes to see Alberto. Meanwhile, as all of it's going on, we catch up with Sophia once more as Batman visits her. Or no?
Actually, we should say it's a little thing about Alberto is Julian Day has left the building. Why didn't you run, Falcone? An innocent man has nothing to run from.
My fucking god, I fucking hate Alberto so much.
To put a knife in the room, Harvey's gone.
Yeah.
Two-Face is in control, so he's not gonna stay. But then we move to the Falcone penthouse.
And what a scene.
God, this trifold mirror scene.
She is just staring at this mirror. Batman shows up behind her and says, "If you pursue this, I guarantee you will lose everything you have left." She says, "Everything I have left, look at me. I can't walk, I can't turn my head, I can't even go to the bathroom on my own anymore. All thanks to your Harvey Dent. Look at me." She pulls off this wig. There's this horrible scarring on her head. My God, like at this point, you do feel bad for her, I think.
I had sympathy for her through most of this.
Yeah.
Even in the end, like, no matter how this goes, there is still sympathy from the reader because this woman has gone through hell.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And, it immediately things just get worse for Bruce and Jim as the court lets Alberto go.
Alberto is officially let out. He's let into Mario's company. Someone talks to Jim outside the courthouse, says, "Let it go. I'll be watching Alberto very closely." And then this person disappears. Meanwhile, someone breaks into the grave of Carmine Falcone and chops off his fucking finger. And
with his ring finger, with his wedding ring.
And sends it to Sophia.
As a message.
And of course, the body is gone as well. Meanwhile, Janice Porter goes to her DA office and sees that all of Harvey Dent's files from that DA's office were stolen. And we end the issue on the most harrowing note. Chief O'Hara, the king, the legend, everyone's favorite character, is dead. He has been hanged with a piece of paper stuck to him with a game of hangman played on it, with the letters mostly filled in, presumably saying, "None of you are safe." And that is where we end the issue.
That's the first issue, and it sets the tone so perfectly.
Oh yeah. I mean, granted, it is a double-length issue, so it has the extra time to do such a thing, which is great. But that's that. On to chapter 2, Secrets. This is our Riddler issue.
This is our
I'll
Riddler
let you
issue.
take it away.
Yes, because I love the Riddler as a character, just in general. Like even when it's campy, even when he's portrayed as campy for the most part. We'll talk about when it doesn't work later. But here it's great. So we open with Batman immediately confronting the Riddler because the Riddler knew Alberto was still alive. The Riddler knew things and wasn't telling everyone. Same with Calendar Man.
Mm-hmm.
And we're in a great...
This is the first time that we're seeing Riddler since the April Fool's Day issue in Long Halloween. No, sorry. No, wait, did he have any appearances after that?
He had a small appearance.
Oh, yeah, where he got drunk. Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
But like he confirms, like, yeah, I knew who the killer was because I saw Alberto.
Yeah, and why he was left alive remains something of a riddle to this day. And you have Bruce being cruel, and the Riddler being obsessed with riddles. Question: What can you only do going down and never going up? Answer: fall. And
Batman gives Riddler an assignment. He says, "Study this piece of paper, the one with the 'None of you are safe' message on it. Come back with something I don't know.
And if I can't, you will.
You will." Then we catch up with a character that I love that is even here.
I was not expecting him to show up, but it was.
But it clears up a matter of confusion from Long Halloween because where the fuck was the police commissioner as all these people were being
the deposed police commissioner.
Well, he was still commissioner through Long Halloween.
Oh, was he?
Yeah. They say right at the start. Hang on. Hang on. I forget where it says.
As the newly appointed police commissioner, he'll be flooded with pressure from both inside and the department now. So this is Jim's first year as commissioner. Okay, that.
Yeah. Yep. Post Long Halloween. Hang on. There we go. Yeah, in the Zero issue, it says James Gordon was named commissioner of the Gotham City Police Department when Batman's catching us up on everything that's happened in between. So
right.
Yeah, so Gillian Loeb is only just recently no longer commissioner. So he's talking to Gordon, giving these sort of warnings about what Jim is like stepping into here. Somebody has killed a cop gruesomely, and we can only assume that there will be more, of course. Loeb gives this sort of like threatening message that he never liked Jim's methods, but there was always potential for him.
as if he wanted to corrupt Jim Gordon, which he obviously did.
Yeah. As he's leaving, out of now Jim's office, Loeb says, "Yes, sir. Always liked that view." What just a fucking slimy character.
He is really just a slime ball.
I love that he's even here. Again, another one of those moments where it's important to remember that like Long Halloween was first conceived as a year one sequel. So
yes, and we realize that this is Thanksgiving.
Yes. Alfred wants to invite someone over for Thanksgiving, presumably one Miss Kyle. Which I for one am all for.
We are both all for this, and Bruce, you need it. Look at the way his cape is drawn on that first page. Like,
oh my god, yeah. It's it. Have I ever shown you a Todd McFarlane Batman cape?
You haven't? I was getting Greg Capullo vibes.
Oh no, I'm not saying it's like Todd McFarlane, but like Todd McFarlane is known for his very ridiculously large Batman capes. This isn't quite like that, but one could always get the feeling that there's a lot of character in Batman's cape if they focus on the cape a lot. And you really feel that here. You feel like these spiraling edges of the end of it. Like almost being like as out of control as things are right now.
Yeah. Well, and you have the interesting thing of Bruce suspecting, I found something like that in Scarecrow's cell at Arkham. Catwoman's bola has the tensile strength too. And Alfred comes in. And lest we forget the trusty bat rope too.
We get this great little moment here too, where Bruce gets like really introspective. He says to Alfred, "I never discussed this with you, but I was nearly ready to tell Harvey just before his accident the truth about who I was, about my parents, all of it." He said he would have been the only one other than you to know. I love that idea that Harvey Dent was so close with Batman that he would have given up his secrets for him.
And
that he trusted Harvey so implicitly. You can
really see that. It's
yeah.
They're friends. It's such an important thing because now he is alone.
Yeah.
And we find out Harvey hasn't been seen since Halloween night.
Yep. Almost every single Arkham inmate escaped that night. All these Batman villains are out in the open. It says just this really cool tone of just anyone could strike at any moment. You never know who is still out there. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Gordon and Porter are investigating the crime scene of Falcone's broken gravestone. Nice to see there. At the same time, Sophia obviously is pissed that they're even there, and Mario wants to help out the police. Is what it is. Meanwhile, you get this.
Well, there's also a moment where Sophia shows up and calls Mario Alberto.
Yes.
Which is again a very interesting little slip, a very intentional slip.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, Gordon and Porter just kind of have to go off because they have private bodyguards.
Yeah.
And
there are some things that even the goodness in Jim Gordon can't take care of. So
he tries to ask Porter for just to spend Thanksgiving together. She already has plans. To which he responds, coconuts. And
we meet up with Alberto here then, staying at Maroni's house, and a voice begins speaking to Alberto. It says, "You can't stop now. They'll forget you." And that's all it says. This sort of causes Alberto to freak out. It says, "Who are you? Answer me. Who are you?" Whatever. And that's that. I'm curious, what were your thoughts when you first saw this scene?
I wasn't sure whose voice it was. I thought it might just be his own madness bubbling back to the surface.
Okay.
Because
they don't make it clear in this scene yet who it's meant to sound like. Because later on they say that it's meant to sound like Carmine. It's meant to be the voice of his dead father. Obviously we'll talk more about that later. But right now I think it's cool to just have this random voice talking to him, and since it's this really nice mystery. Meanwhile, we're at this
hotel.
Janice is here. Janice is laying down. Somebody comes to see her on Thanksgiving. They've had dinner, or they're going to have dinner. And she says, "You're hungry, aren't you?" And that is that. She kisses whoever this person is. When you first read this, thoughts? Who was this mysterious person?
I was already clocking that this was going to be Harvey Dent.
Oh, okay, all right.
Because I had my theory that Janice Porter was Gilda Dent in disguise.
Yeah, that was you kept saying that to me as you kept reading it. You're like, it's gonna be like Gilda or something. I was like, I don't know about that shit.
Spoilers alert! It isn't.
It's I don't know why anyone would think that it's Gilda. That it's just straight up Gilda.
The way she's drawn, it's very subtle. That she's drawn like Gilda, just if Gilda had blonde hair. And I think that's intentional. I think that's
intentional. I think she's meant to remind Harvey of it, of Gilda.
And it adds an extra red herring. Yeah.
Then we have a lovely, lovely, lovely scene between Bruce and Selina here at Thanksgiving dinner. They sort of do the Batman '89 thing of them being like at like really far opposite ends of the table. And just get this really sweet moment where Selina says hi and pulls the chair all the way over to him and says, "Remember me?" And they just have dinner together, and it's just a really sweet moment.
And Bruce is cold.
It's so good, and the art here, so good.
While the Riddler shoots up a Riddler signal.
Batman goes to talk to him.
We get an explanation for the game of Hangman. And the big reveal, you can't play Hangman by yourself or else you would already know the answers. And since these letters were already filled in and these off to the side indicate the choices weren't part of the puzzle, I guess I'd have to guess that this is a game being played by two people.
And then Batman had disappeared. And Riddler tells his one last riddle for this chapter. What do a hangman and a piano player have in common? They both need a chord to strike. God, I love that one, as he cries. And then we get our second hangman killing. It is, of course, Commissioner Gillian Loeb.
Which I cheered.
I can't blame you. I cannot blame you. Gillian Loeb is fucking hanged like the fucking rat that he is. My God. With the message pinned to him that says, two can play this game.
Yes.
And that's that. We go into chapter 3. Toys, and then chapter 3 opens just as strong
because the death of another bastard.
Fucking Arnold Flass is dead now. He has been hanged with the message on him.
We don't see it.
Sorry. Knows if you've been bad or good. That's this one.
Yeah.
This is the Christmas chapter, obviously.
Yes.
Flass is found. My fucking God, what a great moment.
And it turns out he was hanged in the back of a strip club that he had been working at since being fired from the GCPD.
Yep.
He was taking a cigarette break. Batman shows up and
doesn't really offer anything, just sort of stares there. We're then introduced to Anthony Fat Zuko, or Tony Zuko, as you already knew him.
I was aware of who Tony Zuko was.
Who is very clearly a part of this plot for a reason. So he's here.
I will say, knowing that Dick Grayson Robin is coming, that helps build the sense of tension as you start seeing the pieces just slowly start to fall in place.
Yeah, you see Zuko here, eventually introduce Haley Circus and all that. It's nice to have here. It's cool.
Well, because when it happened, I'm like, when I finished the issue before Dick Grayson's introduced, I was like, I don't want to turn this page because it's clear what the next page is going to be.
Yeah.
I don't want to. And then I did.
But we're getting ahead of ourselves, of course. Batman interrogates Zuko. That's about it. Because Zuko is what? He's working this this trucking company, right? Yeah.
He was supposed to meet a guy in a back alley behind the strip club. One of those guys, a freak like you with a mask and all that, calls himself Scarecrow or something. And my God, Jonathan Crane's portrayal here.
He's singing most of the time here. Fucking terrifying. He's putting drugs in dolls. What the fuck?
Drugs and fear toxin.
What the fuck? What's
the
ever-loving fuck? Somehow Tim Sale has drawn Scarecrow even scarier here than he was in Long Halloween.
See, here's the thing. I think, because at this point, New Batman Adventures would have started airing.
Yeah, it would have already been done.
Yeah, so he would have seen that design.
Yeah,
I think Sale got inspired by
some
that
influence
design
here. Yeah,
and you know what? Can you blame him? It's good. It's good design.
Yeah.
Also, his fingers are just
Very importantly here, Batman is hit with a big dose of fear toxin.
A very big dose.
And he's not immediately affected by it.
And he chases. So Batman's not affected. He chases Scarecrow in a truck, and Scarecrow just drives into the water. Now, I'm wondering if that's to imply that he is affected a little bit, just with some hallucinations and bits of surrealism, because he also grabs the noose around his neck, and is like, "I found something tangible to work with." And
he doesn't really react to the fact that that Scarecrow may have just died.
Yeah, it's intentionally odd.
Yeah.
But we see Christmas Eve with the Falcones.
And Zuko. Zuko's there too. So the Maronis. What is it? Which one? Pino. Pino tries to tell Sophia a joke. Says, thinking about how your brother Alberto faked his own death and all, how wouldn't it be messed up if your father was still alive? And Sophia just fucking shoots the guy in the arm, as she fucking should.
And again, I am on Sophia's side. Like, this woman's been through enough.
Yeah. It's great how just how it all works out with Sophia. It's great. Anyway, Selina's here.
At Wayne Manor on Christmas Eve.
Yes, as she should be. But of course, Bruce has stood her up. Is not coming back. Get a nice little moment with Alfred here, though.
Alfred has a lot of good little moments.
He's a lot better in this book than he was in Long Halloween. Says, I forgive Miss Kyle for being a tad slow on the uptake. While Master Bruce is a very complicated man, he's also a very special one at that. So to answer your question, no, I do not think you are wasting your time.
Again, Loeb ships it.
As he should. He should. Batman goes to interrogate Alberto. Thinks he's on
nearby. Like they specifically state that the Falcone Manor that Alberto is living at is very close to Wayne Manor, which makes sense.
Yeah.
And he's convinced that Alberto found a way to leave the house.
Yeah, he still has like the ankle bracelet on that he should be under house arrest with, but nothing is. He's convinced that Alberto has just found a way around it. Meanwhile, Jim meets up with Porter, just shopping, Christmas shopping. Just a nice little moment there. You really see that like outside of work they can be good friends. And
she's shopping for a mysterious man.
A man in her life, Jacob. Come on.
Yes.
You're not supposed to know who it is yet.
Well, I guessed it, okay?
Okay, well, I didn't, you dick. All right, so anyway, Gordon and Porter going to meet up with Mario. Just a nice little moment here. Mario says that...
up from Batman's terror on Alberto.
Mario also tells them that Alberto claims that he's been hearing voices, and we get this great last panel here of that voice talking to Alberto again. It says, "You can't stop now. You had all the power. Now look at you. What are you going to do about it?"
And it's specifically established that this is the voice of his father. That the idea is that the house is haunted by Carmine the Roman Falcone, which is perfect for, as she said, on Christmas Eve, obviously. Because of the implications.
Well, Alberto's even like laying there like Scrooge.
Yeah. It's great.
We go into chapter 4, Lost here, which is would be the New Year's issue compared to Long Halloween,
where Bruce has decided to go down to the sewers
because he knows that Harvey Dent made a friend when he first became Two-Face, and that is, of course, the friend of Solomon Grundy. I love Grundy. I love him being here. I love him.
I still love that Bruce just still treats Grundy with like humanity and respect.
Yeah, it's always a nice little aspect of these stories.
Like Grundy is just like probably one of the villains who just needs mental help. Like,
yeah, but also he's dead and probably can't hold that kind of.
His brain's probably rotting.
Yeah, has already rotted.
Has already rotted.
And yeah, so Batman thinks that Harvey has made his way down here, and that he wants Grundy to find where Harvey has run off to. I like here also that to know that Grundy knows Harvey, because Harvey taught Grundy the rest of the nursery rhyme after Born on a Monday. He repeats the rest of it. Looks very sad too. Just Grundy's just a nice little character to have here.
Well, we basically find out that he's not in the sewers, because when Take Me to Dent, Grundy shows him the door to Dent's office. So we have another connection. As we have another victim, with and justice for all being what's said on again another piece of legal note from the papers of Harvey Dent.
Yep. This is apparently Brandon. He headed up special weapons unit in Gotham for years. Apparently, he was one of the crooked cops that went out with Loeb and Flass and all of them. So it's just probably the character that obviously we have the least connection to here. But we're starting to sense a pattern here. Like outside of O'Hara,
they've all been corrupt cops.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see like if that continues as these killings go on. But also O'Hara is a big outlier there. O'Hara wasn't part of that group. But if you were just reading this like month to month as it was coming out, one could think that like, hey, maybe O'Hara was correct. Maybe he was with these other guys. I like that slight implication there based on like all the other victims.
Yeah, it's really interesting and really good. And this is the point where Jim Gordon takes action.
Yeah.
Like,
four cops have died, no matter what their backgrounds were.
The strip club where Flass was found has been torched. And Jim basically invades the Maroni restaurant. And basically.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Basically pulls pulls a charge of conspiracy to commit murder, illegal possession of a firearm, violation of the city's health code. And for evidence, let me handle that.
Meanwhile, Batman is going through the little makeshift DA's office down here. There's a broken picture of Gilda down here. But also, there's a bomb down here. Some classic sticks of dynamite there that Batman triggers when he opens a filing cabinet. And this, of course, blows up that area of the sewers. Batman goes down with Grundy. They're taking through the sewers.
Saves Solomon Grundy.
As he should. Grundy's a king. Meanwhile, Catwoman is... What is this? Oh, yeah, she's going to see Sophia. Yes. So Catwoman wants to offer her services to Sophia. Catwoman wants to find Carmine Falcone's body and give it to her. And Sophia says, well, how do I know that you aren't the one that stole it in the first place? And she's like, well, you don't. But
either way, you get him back and I get the $1 million.
Yeah, and Catwoman, obviously, as we know, has a personal investment in it. But more on that later.
And she says, go to hell. I haven't heard you say no to my offer. So I'll take that as a yes.
God, I love Selina.
And you have Bruce being saved by a mysterious figure.
Yes.
Harvey Dent.
Yes.
At the moment of Harvey being in control. Meanwhile, Porter leaving work on
is confronted by presumably the same person
figure
that she was buying a watch for, and that she was with that night on Thanksgiving. We will find out who it is. I don't know. Like, I guess I didn't catch on to it for some reason. Looking at it now, it is pretty obvious. But I guess that's the way with the Jeff Loeb stories, is that
all the really good hiding things in plain sight. I will give it that.
Yeah.
And so my mind was kind of prepped for that reading this.
Yeah.
But Bruce visits Selina. claims... Wait, that is Bruce, right?
Yeah, it's Bruce, yeah. And Selina is naturally pissed because, Bruce has been a dick lately.
Yeah. And she cuts him off. Last night I decided we were over. He tries to leave. No, damn you, the least you could do is stay for breakfast.
And which Alfred says, well done, Master Bruce.
Alfred thinking that something good has happened. He's in for some heartbreak.
And then we get a great little moment here at the end of the chapter where Gordon officially gets Porter on his side. Gordon, we find out what the paper was that O'Hara gave Gordon, and it was a list of cops that O'Hara wanted on the. Wait, this moment, right? He says what it is, right? Yeah, the undercover squad that O'Hara wanted. It's some sort of like special task force of cops that O'Hara trusted implicitly. That's the list that he gave to Gordon. And now Gordon wants Porter in on this. And I like that partnership there. You really see
it's also great that it's Jim talking to his wife that convinces her to trust him. That Jim Gordon is a good man.
Yeah.
Because there is the implication that he works with a vigilante. Like,
yeah.
That's not a good thing. Because, it's Batman's a vigilante.
Yeah. But we move on to chapter 5, Love. Here. Catwoman, of course, gets the cover, as she should.
And it's, spoiler alert, our last Catwoman featuring issue for a while.
Yes, because, I wonder how many issues she's gone for.
6, I believe.
6, I believe. I believe it is 6, yeah.
Weird that.
Crazy, huh? Anyway, so Umberto and Pino are, of course, still locked up. They get bailed out. Who bails them out? Wait, hang on.
The Vitti family.
Oh yes, Lucia Vitti. There. Yes.
Yeah. Another putting another game piece on the board. Mm-hmm. The V's reaching out a hand to the Maronis, especially as it's implied that Sophia's cut off the V's, because partially because some of the murders, and we have them out, and then we cut to Valentine's Day, the night of February the 14th. I've been shot.
Which is just a funny little moment there.
I can imagine Kevin Conroy being this Batman so much.
The night of February the 14th. I've been shot. It's just a great moment there. But yes, he has been shot. He's being attacked. We find actually he's knocked out then, right? Yeah, he's knocked out. And for some reason, nobody decides to pull off his mask, which is kind of weird. But when he comes to, we see that our next victim is up here. This is
Pratt.
Pratt.
Sergeant Frank Pratt. Who was the sergeant who shot Batman? Like, he gets knocked out not by a kick. It's not a kick. Like, look at the way that. Oh, it is a kick.
Yeah.
It is a kick, but like, look at the way that's positioned. It's that's projected from my ribs. Batman's on the ground, and then he's hanged.
Yeah.
Like.
The message on this one reads justices what? Wait,
sin.
Oh no, sorry, guilty as sin.
Guilty as sin. And this was at this point where a theory popped into my head about. I noticed several of the messages had numbers in them, and I had theorized, what if instead of guilty as sin, it was guilty as 6? And that the numbers are going to mean something.
That is interesting. And you were onto something, obviously.
I didn't figure out exactly how, but I had an idea. I was very happy.
And you were onto something, and that does pay off later. So there's that. This one also very noteworthy to say that this is attached to a picture of Gilda.
Which is just a knife in the wound for Valentine's Day.
Yep. Anyway, Catwoman is of course still on the hunt. I love she hunts down Riddler here, and I love the way Tim Sale draws Riddler in this.
He's just terrifying.
I fucking love that one of just him on top of the toilet.
And it's just great. What's green and brown and red all over? A frog in a blender. No, a Riddler with his eyes scratched out.
So she's after him. She goes over to the morgue, and she is attacked at the same time. Just not a good night for these mass vigilantes. Meanwhile, Sophia is talking with Mario and Alberto,
who is still smoking. Like, I don't think there's like a single panel outside of the one with him in bed where he's not smoking a cigarette.
I think just the idea is constantly that his one hand is paralyzed, his other hand is always smoking, so his hands are clean, like he's not doing anything shady that we can't see. I think that's the idea there.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Alberto has this idea that Two-Face is fucking with them all.
Yeah.
Because I'm half a man, you're half a woman. Who does that remind you of?
Nobody has really suspected Harvey or Two-Face of anything here, really. Nobody's really like suspected him of being the Hangman, being any of the voices talking to Alberto. This is the first time that someone is actually accusing Two-Face of doing something here.
And this whole idea that Carmine the Roman Falcone is still alive.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, people thought I was dead too. Remember, you saw what he wanted you to see. And we immediately cut to the morgue, where a coffin is being moved towards the crematorium.
Mm-hmm. And Batman saves Catwoman. She's trapped inside this coffin. He takes her out. And we still don't know who actually attacked Catwoman there, though. We obviously, of course, we intend to find out, but we don't know who yet. Batman saves her. They have this nice little conversation. She wishes him a happy Valentine's Day.
It's so interesting because this is essentially Bruce Wayne's last chance to make things right with Selina Kyle. Mm-hmm. It's like, let's do it right now. Take off the masks. No secrets. And he considers it. He
does.
And then he makes the wrong decision of asking, what is your relationship to the Falcone crime organization?
Fucking idiot.
It's like,
but also it's at this point in the book that like you could tell there is a marked difference in how Batman is acting in every single situation he's in. He's not acting like himself. Something has changed.
Something's off. He is not rational. Part of it is just his already damaged psyche from losing Harvey Dent as a friend.
Mm-hmm.
And it's other things. And as she flees, we cut to Gordon, who is trying to work out the connection of good cops, bad cops. Enters his house, is terrified, thinking someone's gotten in, and his wife is back.
Barbara Gordon is there, yes. Great little moment to have on the Valentine's Day issue. Meanwhile, as a love is rekindled, a love is fucking broken here, smashed to pieces. My heart is broken. And
you could have avoided this, Bruce.
And Bruce goes to the home of Selina Kyle with a box of chocolates in hand, and is told by a moving company that Selina has left. That she left him a note, and it's over between the two of them. We get
the moving truck is one of Anthony Zuko's. The Maronis own the company. That's a lot, and he gets this letter. His heart is basically ripped out.
So is mine.
So yeah.
We then get the greatest reveal in the book, I think, or in this chapter.
It's a great reveal.
Janice Porter is getting dressed. Says O'Connor, talking about like the task force that O'Hara gave to Jim, says talking about all of them. Talking about O'Connor, says a good-looking kid, but not good-looking like you. That's my girl, Porter. That's my girl. Said, of course, by Harvey Dent, aka Two-Face. Dun 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 dun. Great moment.
I was also just like, red herring. This has to be a red herring. Like, the hangings don't fit with Harvey. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Like, Harvey was not a hanging judge.
Well, there's that, but also consider the hangman's nooses association with the law and Harvey Dent's day job.
Yeah. So,
there's that.
It's not him. It's not him.
Anyway, so there's that. We went to chapter 6. Hate. Love the Penguin cover here. Love the fact that the Penguin opens us up here. I love the way that Tim Sale draws him so much.
It's this great, almost humanized version of the Danny DeVito Penguin.
Yeah, he's still got like the sharp teeth, and he's sort of comical, but he's really it's a nice design. I like it.
And it's this idea that the last like grasps of the mob are trying and failing. Like there's a shootout with a great splash page that ends with an explosion, and Tony Zuko is present. Trying to get out of it. Zuko keep popping up. Well, the Penguin tries to deal with Batman.
And of course, it's the Penguin trying to deal with Batman. How do we think it goes? So of course nothing works. Batman beats the living piss out of him, we can only assume, and we get to Gordon putting together the task force. We meet our five officers that Jim and O'Hara put together, or really O'Hara put together for Jim, and this is all them. So they're all assigned a different person, or a different one of the Hangman killings to investigate. Lopez is given Gillian Loeb, King is given Flass, O'Connor is given Brandon, and Pratt is given, Wilcox is given Pratt. I like the one bit here. Hang on, wait, where is it? Yes, it's King. He gets Flass. Gordon says, "Do you have a problem with that?" And Brandon says, King says, "Should I?" The implication is there.
It's there because reminder, Arnold.
One of Flass's defining scenes in year 1 is when he just stops on the side of the fucking road and beats up a black kid.
Just a genuinely innocent black kid, reflecting the sorry state of the police force in the United States of America.
And I again remind us, written by Frank Miller. Baffling. Absolutely baffling. But still, there's that. Yeah, I just like the little touch there. What else? Yes. So we also talk about what the task force was originally put together for. Obviously, O'Hara didn't know the Hangman killings were going to happen, so the task force was put together to take down the 5 crime families of Gotham: the Falcones, the Zucos, Skeevers, and the Veedies.
It's this great. If we attack them all at once, they can't win.
But it's clear, like at this point, that like the crime families really aren't the problem, are they?
No,
we're just cleaning up shop here at this point.
They're not the main problem, but they still need to be taken care of.
Yeah.
And it's this great idea of what about Batman, sir? What about him? Batman isn't part of this investigation. Should he hamper you in any way? Take appropriate. Look out! And the tied up body of Oswald Cobblepot
as they stand in front of the bat signal.
Which is great. It's this great... Bruce knows what's going on, and he is on their side.
Mm-hmm.
He may not be actively helping because he's pushing everybody away like an idiot, but he's on their side. And you have...
Sophia here going to see Mario, and Mario does not let her in. Mario says that he is the majority shareholder in Falcone Imports. He has seized her assets, including this penthouse.
Yeah, court order. She isn't seeing Mario. She's trying to go home.
Yeah. And he says, the penthouse belongs to him. She is no longer allowed there. He is legitimately trying to clean up the Falcone name, which I think is really, really interesting. And of course, Sophia is left behind. Again, you do feel bad for her. I mean, she's a bitch. She's a massive bitch, but you do feel kind of bad for her.
Yeah, you do, because she's, especially though this isn't the most bad you'll feel for her. There's a bit later on.
Oh my god, yeah, I cannot wait to talk about that.
And it's St. Patrick's Day. We go to a bar, and we have Porter and Barbara sort of bonding, like a new friendship is being formed, and it's legitimately nice.
Also, we get another year 1 character here, Stanley Merkel. I love that Merkel is here. Merkel is one of the only like actually good ones. And he comes in, he gives Gordon a big hug. He says he has to go back to his wife. He leaves. Barbara begins asking about Merkel. She says, "Hey, your friend Merkel's been doing a little too much celebrating." Gordon says, "You think? Oh, what a great guy." She goes, "I just hope he's not driving." Gordon says, "Oh, loyal from day one. He had to cover for me." And Harvey and fucking flips. He runs outside, grabs his hat.
There's a light bulb moment.
Merkel is gone from the streets already.
And we cut. Love what you done with the place, Harv.
And it's the fucking Joker. And my God, I will never get tired of Tim Sale's million teeth that he gives to the Joker.
It is just exaggerated enough that it's like, this is so real.
We get this idea here, though, that he is talking to Harvey, and Harvey says that everyone has a part to play, and no, I won't tell you your lines before it is time to go on. Harvey is sort of orchestrating, at the very least, the Rogues Gallery appearances in this. And I love this spread then, where they both just pull a gun at each other.
He reaches out and to shoot Harvey, and that's when Two-Face takes over and pulls the gun. Yeah. And it's great. It's
such a perfect spread. Look at that. And Joker just gives that little like, heh. That's it. So good.
It's like, who do you think you're dealing with, Joker? Some pipsqueak DA who would let you bust into his house on Christmas Eve? Now,
and Two-Face beats the living piss out of him. And you know what? It's actually really nice to see. It's really nice to see because God, Joker, like Sale and Loeb's Joker is just such a bastard. I love him. Oh my God, he's so good.
And then unfortunately, the most fucked up killing. Let's be honest.
Hanged outside the house of Harvey and Gilda Dent is
which has been sold. Another family lives in this house.
Hanged outside the house of Harvey and Gilda Dent is, of course, Stanley Merkel with the message, "A jury of your peers," played through the game of Hangman. Batman goes to investigate the body and is, of course, confronted by Jim Gordon's task force. And that's the end of the issue. It's a great cliffhanger.
And we move right on to Chapter 7 Fools with Calendar Man on the cover.
The task force shoots at Batman. He, of course, escapes. Gordon sort of flips on them for even opening.
This is the sequence all in blue that I was talking about.
It's a great sequence. It's colored so nicely.
Jim saves him. I
hadn't even noticed this nice little touch here of Lopez shooting at Batman because Batman drops this gas down. And it's tear gas. It's tear gas. I hadn't even noticed that you zoom in on her crying there. Wow. All right then. Anyways, yeah, so Gordon sort of flips on them for even like opening fire in a quiet neighborhood. Batman is not their target. And Gordon just has the worst, just has this heartbreaking line where he says, secure the area and see if you can calm down some of these neighbors until the ME arrives. I've got to call Merkel's wife. And just
it's like, oh
my God, so good. Great little moment here between Harvey and Janice. Harvey has to go out and he's due in court, he says. And Harvey once again has orchestrated this little like courtroom setting. I love just the visual of this,
of the Calendar Man on the stand
and all these other villains in the jury.
Grundy as sort of bailiff, which is it's this great thing. And it's a genuine trial of, is Calendar Man Hangman?
Or at the very least, does he know who the Hangman is? Because he probably, or I think he implies here that he knew that it was Alberto. Well, he also implies here that he knew it was Gilda, right?
Yeah. I want you to tell me Holiday was actually no. Because he's about to reveal that Holiday was Gilda, because he knew who Holiday was from the beginning.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
I want you to tell me who is the Hangman. And you have this one panel of the Joker with a solitary hop.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Because Calendar Man is just fucking with them here.
Yeah. The obvious answer is Harvey Dent.
Yeah. Yeah. We end the scene on this great line. Calendar Man says, "You'll have to act quickly." Harvey says, "Why is that?" Calendar Man says, "Today is a holiday. It's April Fool's Day." Now, of course, because it's April Fool's Day, there's got to be some kind of twist on on the killings, as there was in Long Halloween. And I love the way they do it here, but before that...
You start with what you think is going to be the twist of Alberto Falcone being gifted by his dead father a .22 caliber with the serial number filed off. Baby bottle nipple. The handle taped. The wrapped handle,
taped up.
Like you like.
Oh my god.
And he picks it up. So he puts it in his shirt. Sophia comes in. Notices the box that it was their father's.
Mm-hmm.
The implication, and that it was in the penthouse when Sophia was in charge there.
Mm-hmm.
The implication being that Mario is the one fucking with him.
Yeah. I like that there. Bruce also next up here is investigating all of the messages so far. He is going through some rather rigorous training methods. He locks himself down in a pool. I just like that little montage there.
He's also going through like the ideas of, do the discarded letters mean anything? B for Batman, J for Joker, D for Dent. Harvey always being on his mind. Until
we're in the Batcave here, and this is also the second time, because earlier on in one of the monologues, I forget exactly which one, in one of Batman's inner monologues, he has he repeated the messages to himself, and he said, "No one is safe." He says it again here, "No one is safe," and Alfred corrects him, says the message was, "None of you are safe."
You are safe.
And Batman's like, no, that's what I said, Alfred. If you can't be any help, just leave. And he starts sort of just being a bastard to him.
Alfred is the one there correcting his mistakes because, perhaps I could be of some service if you tell me the order in which the killings took place. The order starting with the first, O'Hara, Loeb, Pratt, Brendan, Merkel. Pratt came after Brendan. And you did not mention Flass. He was third.
Batman eventually flips and punches his computer screen. Alfred says, some of your says it's not what you could say, sir. It's your decision on handling this alone, without even another pair of eyes to help out, without Jim Gordon, without Catwoman, even without me. He eventually says it's the sum of your worst fears made only worse, in my opinion, since Christmas Eve. Batman eventually says, but on Christmas Eve, I was trying to capture the Scarecrow. So, of course, Batman's bizarre behavior since then has been because of the fear toxin. Alfred
which is a great twist.
Oh, yeah. Like Bruce could very well still be with Selina at this point if he had just taken more notice of the fact that the fear toxin wasn't really affecting him that much, at least not immediately.
Or it wasn't affecting him like it did the last time, which would have been, Long Halloween, where it made him flash back to the death of his parents.
Yeah.
And you see, Alfred being the best of them, goes to get his medical bag to deal with that problem. While Jim Gordon, calls his wife.
And sees the bat signal lit up in the sky. He goes up there, says, "Who's up here? Who turned on?" And then Jim Gordon has a noose wrapped around his neck. It starts to hang him.
In front of the signal. I imagine that just for some moments, the silhouette of Jim Gordon is being shown to the night sky of Gotham City.
Oh my god. Ugh. But then Batman comes in, stops the person that is at the end of the rope on the other side of the signal.
As it's already been cut loose.
And it is Two-Face there holding a knife. Batman stops him, but it was Two-Face actually cutting Jim down, and he did not or what is it? Two-Face did see who it was, right? That hung up the news. It's implied, right?
Yeah, it's someone wants you to think Harvey Dent is the Hangman. He isn't. Did you see who it was, Harvey? Harvey's never coming back, Jimbo. Get used to it. Particularly to help a pair of old fools. Don't try to follow me. I've got two marksmen on two different ropes. You touch me, bats, they kill Gordon. Double jeopardy, so to speak. Two-Face, did you see who else was up here? And echoing Sophia Falcone's "Go to Hell" to Catwoman, he only responds, "Go to hell," which, as we've already established, isn't a no.
Yep.
So he knows who it is.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So we have that bit there. We go over to Zuko again here. Zuko decides to invest in the circus.
Haley's Circus.
Haley's Circus. With a little ad there for the Flying Graysons.
Flying Graysons coming soon. Great.
Goddamn.
Yeah, amazing.
Goddamn. It's just God. Anyway, chapter 8, Battle, has the best opening sequence ever. I fucking love this. Joker is doing a drive-by on the Maroni's restaurant. It's just delivering like all these really cheesy like mob boss lines. Look at me, Ma, top of the world. You dirty rat, you kill my brother, my sister, my daughter. She's my sister and my daughter.
And my daughter.
It's a great fucking line.
Again, I love how Loeb makes just the Joker hilarious.
Yeah, and also threatening because he definitely did just kill some people.
Which if you're gonna do the Joker, you need to be good at comedy. Like,
oh yeah,
like you can be as fucked up as you want, but you still need to make us laugh.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you have for the first time now that it's out of his system, Bruce is starting to open up to allowing someone in.
Yeah, he's actually working with Jim, and he properly meets Porter for the first time. Porter says he's smaller than I thought he'd be. Batman escapes. I love this little funny line at the end where Batman disappears and Porter says I saw him take evidence, and says he's gone. Jim goes and he usually says a polite goodbye.
You can tell just through quips like that Gordon's like, yes, my best friend is back.
The Joker makes his second strike then outside the Falcone penthouse.
Okay, I love the way the page is set up because you're watching as Mario's talking about how much he appreciates people, and being very, very stuff. And there's this window. And it's blue, and it starts out as a normal window, blind. No, it's the reflection of a window with blinds being cast. Yeah. And then there's this figure, and then it's the same figure, obviously the Joker with a gun.
Yeah.
And you turn the page, and the glass shatters.
And he says, "This Mother's Day, show her you really care."
Which is hilarious. He's such a good clown. Such a good clown.
Yeah.
And
pretty much everyone's dead except for Mario and one other person.
One of the Maronis.
Yeah.
I better not find out you had anything to do with this Falcone. And Jim and Porter are on the case.
They go down into this parking garage, and they see the next Hangman killing.
First it's telling, what are you implying, Jim? There's a blank panel of them in the elevator. Aren't you supposed to have a bodyguard at all times? Yes, Detective Gustafson. He has been assigned to me. He went to get the car. Bodyguarding utter nonsense.
And we see our next Hangman killing is Gustafson. He with the message. Oh God, what is this one?
Murder in the first degree.
That's it. That one's again really obscure.
Another one like there's a number there first.
Yeah.
Which is so important.
But then we go back to the home of what is it, Alberto?
Alberto and now Sophia.
And this guard is just dead. We see this this body like laid on the floor, blood splattered on the wall.
After laughing.
Joker is there, obviously. He pushes Sophia in the wheelchair down the steps.
What lovely parting gift do we have for our players, Johnny? Why, it's a set of steak knives, a wash driver, and a trip for two. Thanks for playing
our game. He pushes her down. The wig falls off. She's in a terrible state. Joker comes down, has the best fucking dialogue. I'm going to read it all off because it's fucking great.
Yes.
Now, call me crazy. Okay, you're crazy. But I think you can get up. So, tell you what I'm going to do. I'll count to 3, and if you can reach that gun, I'll give you first shot. Otherwise, I blow your head off. 1, 2, come on, be a man, get up. 3, and
blam!
Cut off, blam, with this full page. Joker says, "You shot me, you bitch." And it's not, of course, Sophia. It is Alberto.
Get away from my sister, Joker. And it's at this point where Batman comes in. We fight. Batman, noticing that Alberto, has shot someone.
And is holding the cigarette in the hand that he says he can't use, and has it there, and has the gun in the other hand.
The way it's drawn, the fingers look off. It's clearly still injured. He is not. He is trying to show his hands, and he's not using the nipple over the gun.
Yeah.
No wait. No, he's not. It's just. Wait, is he? No, he is.
No, is he?
He is.
You're right.
In the half page, you can tell. It's a little hard to see in that first one, but the sort of half page image.
Yeah.
Batman,
as he should, beats the living piss out of the Joker, and that's that. We go over to Haly's Circus. It is midnight on Mother's Day.
There is a silhouetted acrobat in the background.
Tony Zuko talks to Mr. Haly, owning the circus, says he has some things that he needs to do. He just needs Haly Circus to sort of turn a blind eye on some of their operations.
Yeah, you get to cross state lines every which way because, like I said, everybody loves the circus. I got stuff I got to get across state lines.
But the Flying Graysons, so that's your star attraction, huh? Be ashamed if something happened to them, I mean, with them being way up there, and the ground being way down here. And that's the end of that issue.
Well, no,
sorry, it's not. Sorry, one last scene. Forgot about this. Bruce is talking to Alfred, and there's this little thing that there are circus tickets that he has that were sent to him because he made a donation to that circus.
Through the Martha Wayne Foundation.
Yeah.
Because it's Mother's Day.
Alfred says, "If I may, Master Bruce, the donation was made to the Martha Wayne Foundation. Your mother did so enjoy the circus. Perhaps you should still attend."
And it was at
chapter 9
where I was like, I'm not turning the page. I'm not turning the page. And then I turned the page. The best cover of all of these. These covers are amazing.
That fucking cover.
This is also my favorite single issue of all of the things that we have covered so far on the podcast.
Yeah, we did this thing on Twitter recently where it was like, ask me your top 5 anything. And I asked Jacob what his favorite individual issues were that we've covered so far. And this one made the top of the list. So I'll let you take this away. These wordless couple pages.
We open with a snap trapeze. Dick Grayson on a pedestal, reaching his hand down as the ropes sway in the air, and 2 lifeless corpses are at the bottom. Bruce Wayne in the audience standing up. Lights out. Spotlight on Bruce and Dick Grayson mourning over his parents.
In an eerily similar pose to the way Bruce Wayne typically kneels at the feet of his dead parents.
And no dialogue, no narration. This is art telling a story.
So fucking good.
You know everything you need to know.
Yeah. And that's Tim Sale right there. That I like obviously, Loeb, writes that in there, but that is Tim Sale doing the storytelling here.
And it is beautiful. And then we get our first real look at Dick Grayson.
Yes. Who's a bit of an edgy fuck at first.
You know what? He is allowed to be an edgy
fuck.
I
cannot blame him.
His parents are dead. We have now jumped forward to Father's Day.
Yes.
I imagine the circus was probably like the next day or so from Mother's Day.
Mm-hmm.
Out at Wayne Manor, the house that once belonged to my parents, there is a new guest. And Alfred is trying to be a good father to Dick. with the
excuse taking Dick in. It's you don't see Dick and Bruce interact for a while. Right now it is it's the separated relationship of Dick is talking to Alfred because Bruce is out thinking that he's doing the right thing for Dick by trying to hunt down his killer immediately, by his parents' killer immediately. When really I think he should be there for Dick. I think that's
Dick is swinging from the chandelier, Dick Grayson, still the acrobat, and Dick is convinced that his parents are murdered. Now Alfred's not letting on that he knows the parents are murdered, because it's like, I know what you're thinking, but what happened to my parents was just an accident. My father always tested the rope. It was just an accident. And he's almost trying to convince himself of the lie, and he isn't going to be able to do it.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I mean, Zuko is just here straight up saying, like, yeah, it was him. He cut the wires. It was an accident. The rope broke, and there ain't nobody who can prove otherwise. So quit worrying, will you? We go over to Mario, Sophia, and Alberto here. It is they're in they're at police headquarters. Yeah, police headquarters.
An interrogation room.
Yes, and
they're basically being let them alone to give them enough rope to hang themselves, pun intended. And they end up fighting. Mario tries to point the blame at Sophia, literally poking her, and she insists, "Don't touch my face."
Mm-hmm. We then go to the other side of the interrogation room. Batman and Jim are watching them. Porter walks in afterwards, and the first thing that sort of Batman says to her is, District Attorney Porter, how well did you know Alberto Falcone while you attended Harvard together? And she says later on, she says, stay the hell out of my private life unless you'd like me to look into yours. And then the best sequence. This gorgeous couple pages of Dick's first time walking into Martha Wayne's room
on the left,
and then Bruce's first time walking in there after Martha and Thomas Wayne died.
Back in that, and Bruce's sections are back in that flashback black and white watercolor style.
Mm-hmm.
They both go to pick up a hairbrush. They hear a voice saying, "What are you doing here?" And it's Alfred. Basically, our pair of orphans talk about the brush. Dick's mother used to brush her hair before every show. Mm-hmm. Martha did her hair and wasn't wanting to be late.
Yeah. My favorite bit here is the last page where Bruce says, "I'm all alone now, Alfred," and Alfred just does not know what to say.
Anything.
And then we go to present day, and Dick says, "I'm all alone now, Mr. Pennyworth." To which Alfred says, "I can only tell you, Dick, something I wish I had said a long time ago to someone else. You are not alone. I imagine you never will be again."
And I'd say this is the point where we establish the Bat family. Like, he's not Robin yet, but because of Alfred, he will be.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Gordon is meeting with the task force and is noticing that one of them is missing. Mark O'Connor, the sharpshooter, is missing. He has been hanged in his shower at his home with the message attached: "Order in the court." See, there's no number in that, you bitch. But yeah, that's attached to the shower curtain. He's been hanged. That's another one of the task force gone.
And we're at the point. So what the legal documents have basically been chronicling Harvey Dent's career. This one is Acid Halt's DA's career.
Yes. We're at the end of Harvey's career here, at least in the messages. Meanwhile, Batman goes to see Dick, specifically Batman, not Bruce Wayne. This is their first proper interaction in the book, and it's not even as Bruce and Dick.
And it's Dick essentially being, it just couldn't be an accident. He had gone out to the circus, and Batman basically tells him it wasn't. The trapeze rope that snapped, it was made to look like it was worn out, but I found traces of acid on the rope, just enough. and I've seen what that acid can do to people.
And then, after this is all said and done, Bruce goes to visit his parents' graves on Father's Day. Bruce says, "I tried to get out here sooner. I don't have any excuse, but there is something you should both know. I brought a young man, a boy actually, to stay at the house. He's lost his parents at roughly the same age that I lost you. I don't know what will happen. I don't see myself as any sort of father figure, but I think I can make a difference in his life." And
again, that is that. We end silent with a single page of silence after Rose has been left, and Bruce walks down the hill. A very important detail being noticed: not taking the stairs to the grave.
Yeah. We move on to Chapter 10, Justice. With a Mr. Freeze cover. Nice to see that there. This is the 4th of July issue. Dick is still being edgy fuck, again, as he should be.
He should be.
Alfred is setting off fireworks for the 4th of July. I like that little drawing of him down there in front of the pool.
I mean, it's Alfred Pennyworth, and Bruce is trying to be a good father.
Yeah.
I'm hoping it's like here. Anything you want, I'm sure Alfred will find it, or I could buy it for you. Dick, I know we have a lot to talk about, but you've got other plans. Big surprise.
Yeah.
And
meanwhile, Gordon and what's left of the task force at this point goes down into the sewers. Batman is following them down there. Mr. Freeze and Two-Face are there. I love the way Sale draws Mr. Freeze. I love the way he draws them. It's definitely animated series inspired, but
Freeze's first line is, "Have you ever been in love?"
And I like that sort of parallel between the two of them. It's cool. Excuse the pun. Cool.
Anyway. Mad Hatter's there, quoting the Lobster Quadrille from Alice in Wonderland.
That's what that is.
That's what it is. Yes, it didn't make it into the famous Disney movie, which is a shame. But there's a version where Gene Wilder actually sings it, and it's great.
Really?
Yeah, cool. It's a TV version. Also has Whoopi Goldberg and Joanna Lumley and a bunch of just random stars.
All right then, nice. So again, they're down in the sewers. Mr. Freeze has frozen most things there. He freezes Lopez then, and Gordon has to break her out. Batman is there, of course. You know what? Not a lot happens in this issue. Goddamn.
Yeah.
Huh. Wow.
It's very good action.
Yeah. A lot of us just searching through the sewers though. Until Gordon comes across our next victim, which is King. King is the task force to go down.
Who split up from Wilcox.
And he has the message attached to him, "Justice is blind." See, I knew it was there somewhere. And then
with the newspaper clipping, "Falcone crime boss shot dead."
Yes. And then Two-Face holds Wilcox hostage for a brief second.
And it's Two-Face saying this: "I didn't kill that man, but she dies if you don't let me pass." Basically confirming Harvey and Two-Face are not Hangman.
Yeah.
And it's great.
And then Two-Face just gives himself up. I love the one panel here right before Batman is watching over them of Gordon arresting Harvey as Wilcox holds the gun and King is just hanged above them. Like, that is just a really striking visual.
And you have the light sort of almost representing something good happening.
Yeah. And
before we cut to the circus,
where Dick has taken it upon himself to try to hunt down his parents' killer. And Batman comes in and not stops him, but obviously Dick was not going to make it out of there alive. Batman stops this guy here, takes Dick back to the cave.
He says, he basically takes down Zuko's man and says, "Tell everyone this circus is off limits." And yet takes Dick Grayson back to the cave, and I love it, Joey.
Dick says, "What is this place?" And Bruce says, "I never thought to give it a name." He's still wearing the bat suit, of course, at this point. and has this nice conversation here. I love the inner monologue here, especially though. Just before the acid was thrown in his face, I was nearly ready to tell Harvey Dent the truth about who I was, about my parents, all of it. Had Harvey known, he had someone who trusted him and believed in him. Maybe things would be different now. And Bruce then, of course, removes the cowl. Says, "Dick, I know we have a lot to talk
about." And that's the end of the issue, and it is so good.
Move on to chapter 11, Passion. I love the cover of this one.
The Ivy cover.
Yeah, it's a really great cover. Two-Face is talking to Porter. Says that he's going to be put on trial the next day. Right, next day. Yeah, next day. Meanwhile, Batman is interrogating the Maronis again. My God, he just keeps beating on these guys. And
trying Dick, to find Zuko specifically. Well,
Dick is now training in the cave.
It's been at least a month. He breaks the training dummy. Alfred comes in with that will be coming out of your allowance.
Alfred tries to make it very clear to Dick here that Bruce is only letting Dick train to take down his parents' killer, and only that. He says any other plans you may have had in your head are woefully premature. Then we go to one of the most interesting sequences in the book, I think. This is a holiday killing, or almost a holiday killing.
We first established we're at the Falcone estate. Again, the lines from Alberto's father: "I got you a gun. You have to finish what you started. Eliminate anyone who stands in your way. Take the seat at the head of the 5 families. Make me proud." He has the gun.
We have the 6-panel black and white holiday killings from Long Halloween, and Alberto just decides not to do it. He's colored them the same way as the reveal at the end of chapter 12 in Long Halloween, though, too, with the purple sunglasses.
With the purple sunglasses, which is
I love that. I absolutely love that.
Which is again, it's the other. Okay, so it's not Alberto. Alberto hasn't found a way to get out of the estate because it was implied that he easily could have with. Yeah. Sophia's slip up earlier.
Mm-hmm. Bruce, obviously. or maybe just another crooked cop in the forest, like something like that. It's very possible. But obviously, that's out of the window now. Next, we are hunting down Zuko, and Dick and Batman are onto this trail. I like this sequence here.
It's so good. I love Dick's. You can't run away, fat man.
They get Zuko down on the ground. And Zuko says that he's what is it? He says got a bad ticker, I think he says, right? Yeah, bad tick. Get help, bad ticker. He's like going into shock, and it could kill him. Batman says he's like, I'll help you. Just who do you work for? He says, I'll do what I can to help you. And Zuko just dies. Then all he says is he says, okay, see, they're not brothers, twins, and then he dies. And Batman's last little bit of inner monologue there says, but I always woke up before the dream ended, talking about his parents' death. Says, and to this day, I have yet to find my parents' killer. As Dick has now found his parents' killer, and his parents' killer is now dead.
Which is, it sinks in. It sinks in that he, basically, could have saved him.
Yeah.
And just biology took over. But we then get to Harvey Dent's trial.
Yes. Great scene here. Janice Porter tries to help him out because there's some confusion as to who he is here. He says, I'm not Harvey Dent. My name is Two-Face. Janice Porter says, if the witness is not mentally competent to determine his own identity, then I must renew my objection to having Mr. Dent represent himself. And then Two-Face's dialogue changes. It's not the scratchy Two-Face lettering. He says, I swear, as Harvey Dent.
After flipping a coin.
Yeah. Two-Face, after all this, bit of questioning here, Two-Face eventually says, what time is it? Janice Porter says, it's just about 2:00. Why?
In the narration, because Batman's been watching over 2, and Poison Ivy, Mr. Freeze, Solomon Grundy enter with the most extra entrance. I love it.
I love Poison Ivy's pose there in particular.
It's this great ta-da!
And Two-Face says, "I move for a recess," which is so great. We have that Batman tries to stop all of them. They take Porter, or no, they try to take Porter, but they get Harvey out of there. And Batman saves Porter, at least for now. Poison Ivy kisses Two-Face, and he says get out of here. She says, but no one can resist me. He says, go to hell. I like that continued phrasing there, with a picture of Gilda behind him. And then we get our Hangman killing for this issue. Wilcox, which has the most interesting, I think, thing to offer here in the killings. So she's talking on a radio, right? Yeah, on a radio. Says, yes, Commissioner, I'm going up to the 8th floor to get Judge Harkness now. Over. Then the noose ties around her neck. She starts choking. Says, you, but we, and then she's dead. With the note attached to her saying, what is it?
An eye for an eye.
Eye for an eye. Yes, that is it.
And that's we get to 11. Chapter 12.
Chapter 12, Revenge, the Two-Face cover. These first couple of pages I adore. It's just a full page of not Gilda, of Janice.
You can see where my brain went.
Yeah, I get it, but come on. And also the full 2 pages splash here of Scarecrow and Joker.
The Joker saying yes again.
And we get this very telling moment here. Janice tries to reason with Harvey, saying, just tell them who I am to you. Let me go. And tell them that I love you and you love. And Harvey kills her then. And that is the end of Janice Porter.
And even the Joker's kind of disgusted, just like, yeah, you got blood on me, man.
Are Scarecrow's nails painted green?
Yes.
I had not noticed that before.
I imagine it's a nail paint version of the fear toxin.
Ooh, probably.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we then get our full backstory on Porter. We talk about Gotham University here.
Porter. And this is a scene set up with Batman, Gordon, and Lopez.
I would argue, if you've seen the Long Halloween animated movie, for those listening, they do this weird thing with Gilda's backstory at the end of it. I would say it's almost inspired by this.
Pretty much, yeah. I think that's where they dragged it from.
Yeah. So we explained that she was in love with Harvey Dent, Janice, that is.
Well, Harvey Dent was a professor of law.
Yes, and she transferred over to Harvard. What is it? The same year that he was engaged to Gilda Dent. Yes, and that's that. She transferred over to Harvard from Gotham University, and
2 weeks later, Alberto Falcone wakes up to the bloody corpse of Janice Porter in his bed.
This is a setup. I love this. I really, really love this. And then we had a great reveal here, more taunting of Alberto, trying to get him to kill himself at one point. And that's
what tricks him off, that my father wouldn't. You are not my father. We have a Hamlet. Yes. Shooting the mirror.
Yep. And it is Julian Day, the Calendar Man, behind it. I like that he plays a more proactive role in this than Long Halloween.
The Calendar Man is being forgotten, and that is unacceptable.
Unacceptable. We get Calendar Man. He's taken in by the police. Meanwhile, we talk about Porter. What do we learn about Porter here? I forget. Anything?
Well, we learned that Two-Face had Porter see to it that Alberto was sent here. Cigarettes were laced with the fear toxin, something the Scarecrow could have provided. I'm willing to believe it was the Scarecrow, being a former psychologist who did Alberto's profile. That's why Alberto thought he hurt his father. It's what he feared most. They also find no sign of Sophia either in the house or on the grounds. And then we find that Porter's body, 2 shots from a 22, like the holiday killings. There's a chemical in her blood system. It crystallized the arteries, preserving her. The same thing Mr. Freeze did to his wife. A conspiracy against one man, not just a man, Holiday.
And we go back to the Batcave then. And I love how Dick is characterized here. I especially love these first two panels here where he's on one side and then he just moves around to Batman while moves around to the other side of Bruce while like he's still standing in the same position. I just love Dick's characterization.
He's an adorable kid. He's like it's like you tell me my mom used to call me Robin because I was always bobbing along. And he offers to help.
And she's like this moment. Hey, just listen for 2 seconds, okay? You see this first note? None of you are safe. What if it's supposed to read 9 of you are safe? You know, like a message, not a clue. And I know you were at least like really vindicated by this moment because you cut onto that really early. That was like one of your first predictions that you sent to me.
And I had no idea. I was like, what if it's 9? What if it's a number? And you know, it's greatly played with the 9 people who are safe who haven't been attacked at all.
And I like this little inner monologue from Bruce here, just saying the boy shows promise. Meanwhile, Batman is going to investigate the penthouse again, and he is. It seems like he is going to be strung up like one of the Hangman killings. He is. There's a noose tied around his neck.
The letters for Batman, and then you lose.
Then the noose is tied around his neck. He is hung from the penthouse. Well, look what the cat dragged in. And Catwoman is laying above him as he still hangs by the noose.
Which is such a great cliffhanger.
Which brings us to our last chapter, chapter 13, Peace.
And Selina, of course, is taking full advantage of this situation, but does in fact save the love of her life.
Yes, and just to be clear, he is the love of her life. For those who do not like to admit such a thing. Anyway, so she saves him. There's this brief moment where one could assume that she is the Hangman. She's not, obviously.
Which is important because she's been missing for such a long time, much like Alberto was in Long Halloween.
Yeah.
She says, "I'm not the Hangman. Give me a reason to believe you. I don't give a damn what you believe." And it's this great this question of where'd you go? She won't tell. But then we get this sort of reveal the night
of what happened the night that Carmine Falcone was killed and the night that Sophia could have been killed. So Catwoman leaped after her, or tried to catch her. Her bola wrapped around Sophia, swung her into this window lower down the building, severely damaging her, of course.
And she also, Catwoman says, "I scratched her face, the right side of her face." Which is a contradiction.
Yes. I was curious when that little reveal came up. Did you think like Hangman at that point, or was that just, or were you just like, okay, that's kind of weird, like Sophia just did something wrong? Like, because I know like for you, like the full reveal didn't hit you until they actually say it in the book.
I was starting to get suspicion, like, could it be her? Like, this put her on the table.
Yeah. We learned that Sophia was operated on over in Rome, right? Yeah, over in
Italy.
Rome.
By Mario Falcone.
Yes. And Sophia carves those 3 scratches like Carmine had on the other side of her face, and that was it. Obviously, we can assume where Catwoman was simply by the title, When in Rome. We also get why Batman wasn't immediately killed by the noose there, because he had this armor that he was wearing under his neck, underneath the suit in the next page.
Basically a brace.
Yeah.
And you still have Dick just doing acrobatics all along the Batcave, and I love it.
It's so fun. He's such a fun character. I love him. Meanwhile, the 9 people who were safe are no longer safe. All these rogues are going out and they are killing the remaining crime lords that are still out there. Umberto and Pino are murdered by Two-Face,
which is fitting because they're the Maronis.
Yes, and there are 2 of them at precisely 2 a.m. Poison Ivy kills Lucia Viti. Edward Skeevers is killed by Mr. Freeze. Joker kills Bobby Gazzo, and that is it. This is they call this in the Gotham Gazette the Columbus Day Massacre. I love that.
In a matter of days, Gotham City will be ours. With the parallel to the Long Halloween.
With the chart of all the things, right? Is that what you're talking about?
Or... Yeah, and the panel just of them.
Oh yeah, the panel of all the villains standing there at the desk and Two-Face behind it. Yeah.
Yes.
Meanwhile, what is it? Lopez, Maroni, or not Lopez, Mario, Gordon, and Batman meet. But before we go to what they're actually talking about, Sophia goes to see Alberto. Okay. Was this the moment, or did it come later? Like the full realization?
This was the moment.
This is the moment?
This is the moment.
Sophia kills Alberto, which, first off, thank fuck. My God, I've gotten sick of this kid. But also, obviously, Sophia is capable of much more than she was letting on. Further solidified by the next scene, where Batman officially puts it together. Sophia is the Hangman. How did you feel about this reveal?
I thought it fit really well. It also really showed how much the corruption of the cops, even the good ones, was deep. Like how deep it was in Gotham City.
Yep, absolutely.
Because they find out, an L. Wilcox was on the payroll.
Yeah, yep. Showing that there were more crooked cops in the GCPD, and let alone one of them was on the task force.
Yes.
Yeah. Whew. Yikes. But yeah, so that was that. Next up, Harvey and the Rogues hideout is attacked. It is burnt. It is starting to get burnt down. Batman comes in. He saves Scarecrow. Meanwhile, the final Hangman killing is about to happen, and it is supposed to be Harvey Dent himself. Two-Face is strung up by Sophia. I love the build-up here. I love the drawing of Sophia getting up out of the wheelchair and the silhouette, taking off the neck brace, the wig and everything, as she stands up and fully confronts him. Says, my father once told me, you are never stronger than when your enemy thinks you are weak. Nobody looked beyond the wheelchair at a supposedly crippled woman. As Two-Face is slowly dying here. I love these moments here.
And he spits in her eye.
She is such a great threat. Oh my God, I love Sophia as a villain. But of course, Batman comes in, saves Harvey, and that is the end of the Hangman killings. But of course, one more person still has to die. Two-Face just fucking murders Sophia, as he should, and strings her up. And I love that. I love that moment. I think that's just a great moment. Finally, the end of all this, because even with Long Halloween, there's that little loose end of Alberto's still out there, but Alberto's killed, Sophia's killed here. It feels final. I'm glad that everything is finally wrapped up here.
The one living Falcone is still Mario, and he's trying to reform the family.
Yeah.
It's a great little ending. The Rogues kill Grundy on a high voltage fence.
Well, kill is relative.
Yes. He's died before. He'll live again.
Kill is relative.
And they find their way into the Batcave.
Goddamn, what a great moment. I love that full page where you just see the Bat computer up there and everything there.
And they make their way further as a stalactite falls from the ceiling, being grappled.
A stone is thrown at Poison Ivy's face, and then Robin comes out. Robin swings down, and it is. I love this costume. I really, really love this costume.
Yeah, and it's this. They're working together. I love it. It's like some kid all by himself. Not alone, mister. A dynamic duo.
It's so good. And of course, Joker and Two-Face being the villains that they take on. It's got this really great, like almost camp quality to it, but it is still just a great story.
It's a great story. It's this great bit of, Two-Face being then shot by the Joker off a cliff.
I'm not quite sure how that works because obviously Two-Face isn't dead, and we show him not dead later on. But I don't know. Where did Joker shoot him?
The shoulder.
I guess. Yeah, I guess because it's like the same Blam panel from when Alberto shot Joker in the shoulder.
The idea is that it clips him because the Blam panel. We get one last great Joker smile.
Yep. Oh my god, look at that one. That is the most teeth Tim Sale has ever drawn the Joker with, I think.
And Dick knocks him out, which I love.
Hitting him in the teeth, which knocks some of his teeth out. Dick says, pretty cool, huh? What is that you are wearing?
Which is
great little moment here at the end, solidifying that the relationship between Batman and Gordon has been rekindled. I love it. Gordon says, I understand you're working with a young partner now. I'd like to meet him sometime. And Batman says, yes, I am.
And you will.
I love it.
And then Batman, I don't say this very often, but thank you.
The Hangman, Sophia, she killed a lot of cops, my people. We couldn't have stopped her without you. Great there.
We end on Halloween.
Yes. And I swear, Lopez is pretty much just meant to be Renee Montoya.
She is basically Renee Montoya.
She really is. Yeah, so there's that nice little moment there on Halloween. A little Jim Jr. in a Batman costume.
That's adorable. And I think the implication might be that Barbara, because of her dress, is pregnant.
Yeah. Again, I know we mentioned this in the Long Halloween episode, but God, how long is the Batman timeline if she's just pregnant with Barbara?
It does not make sense.
No.
And we end with Mario placing his family home to the ground.
Which is so fitting. The Falcone grave is restored, but we still have not found Carmine's body.
We have...
Selina says some final words, which I think is just beautifully written. I love it. I absolutely love it. So this is goodbye. We never spoke while you were alive, so I don't see much reason in starting now. And leaves a rose at Carmine's grave, but we see where the body is, of course. Two-Face has it encased in ice with the finger chopped off. Perfect. Just perfect.
Just perfect.
And then we get the oath, the famous oath that is there in most iterations of the Robin origin. Batman says, I can't change your mind. No way. You might want to rethink the yellow cape. Nope, those are the colors that my parents wore in the circus. And what is it you want to call yourself?
Robin.
Batman and Robin.
I made a promise to my parents that I would rid the city of the evil that took their lives. That remains unchanged. Only now, I am no longer alone.
Fucking perfect.
This was better than Long Halloween. It is.
Only just slightly.
It's got such a beautiful ending.
Yeah.
It's so good.
So good. God, what else is there to say? I think we covered it all.
We covered it. It's a beautiful story. We have one more thing we need to do some minor discussion on.
Yeah, I said it's been a while since we've done like proper adapted media for like a single story, and Dark Victory has never been adapted, but I figured Two-Face and Riddler, Robin origin, watch Batman Forever.
We may as well do Batman. Now, I had seen Batman Forever before. Like this,
so it's been a long time since I watched it, though. Actually,
same. It had been like at least a decade for me.
A very long time since I watched it,
and it's interesting. It
is certainly a movie.
It is.
Val Kilmer's good. I like Val Kilmer.
Val Kilmer's good. Chris O'Donnell, despite being way too old for the part, even though he's supposed to be 18, like
wasn't he like 25 when he did?
25. He was 25. He was mid-20s. Like. Yeah, does a good job as Dick Grayson. And they do the origin mostly well. they make it Two-Face, and it seems to be a trend with like, let's adapt the origin into something new, but like, let's just not make it look like an accident. It's like an active bomb that Two-Face does.
Yeah.
Two-Face is basically the Joker.
Yeah, so is Jim Carrey as the Riddler. He's just
no. Jim Carrey is just Jim Carrey.
And he's
also
just not the
like
Riddler.
The implication is that
there's no nuance to either of the villain performances, and I kind of hate because they're both good actors who can play nuance, and they just don't do it. I don't know.
They don't do it, and well, Jim Carrey, like his first scene, he's already insane. Like, his villain origin is Bruce Wayne doesn't immediately give him a yes to a question. Like, he's willing to set up a meeting. Like,
you know who I do like? I do like Nicole Kidman's character.
Nicole Kidman is fun.
She's quite good. Yeah,
she's quite good. Again, Kilmer's good. The cinematography is great. It looks good. It just is one. It feels like stuff's been cut. Like, I'd love to see this.
If we had the power that we do today to talk about director's cuts, there would be a Schumacher cut. Like,
I'd love to see if any of the footage still exists, trying to make any sort of Schumacher cut. Like,
I think it's possible. I think it's very possible.
I hope it's possible.
I'd like to see. I would really like to see it. We have a fair few of the deleted scenes, but we know there are a fair few that we haven't seen. But there's that. I don't know. It's a bad film.
It does the Robin. Again, a director's cut would make it a lot better, just because it's so uneven. Like, it's 2 hours long, but it feels really choppy. Like,
but at the very least, Dick's parents weren't shot in the fucking head, so we
have that. Thanks,
that. Thank you, Frank.
But yeah, it's. I will say it's probably a fun time if you're riffing on it with friends. Not as fun as
I would really love to get really drunk with someone and watch Batman Forever. So yeah, I think it'd be really fun. Not as fun as watching Batman and Robin drunk, though. I think that'd be
or a double feature.
Oh my god, could you imagine?
I could imagine.
Could you fucking imagine? Oh my god. Anyways, yeah, that's Batman Forever. That's Dark Victory. One of them's really good.
One of them's brilliant. The other is an interesting case study in, I guess, a bit of studio meddling, honestly. Like,
but that's Warner Brothers. Whatever. All right, I guess it's time, isn't it?
It is in fact time.
Okay, so before we announce what the next book is, this is just to be clear, what I'm about to tell Jacob is the book that we're covering in 2 weeks' time. We do have our second bonus episode for the podcast coming out next week, though. This is covering on the Batman, the new movie, The Batman, coming out March 4th. I think it's just about to come out at the time of this releasing.
It'll have been out for a week, or so, just because of dates. Because
yes, that is right. Okay,
we aren't gonna, because we don't know if we're gonna have time opening weekend to see it and record. We will definitely see it opening week.
Yeah. So next week we are doing an episode on the Batman, but this is for the next actual numbered episode of Fresh Face Comics. I'll tell you right now, you've guessed it right a fair few times.
I'm guessing I have.
Put your final guess in. What do you think episode 12 is?
That's hard because I
know you're stuck between two.
I am stuck between two with similar titles.
You're right. It is one of them.
It's one of them.
It is one of them.
Okay. Because I think I know who you want to have a guest on in this block of 5. I'm locking in Death of the Family.
You are correct.
Yes!
Yes, episode 12, we are covering Death of the Family by Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo. We will be covering an additional issue with it. I'm gonna say just buy it on Comixology, or you could read it in the Detective Comics Volume 1, Faces of Death. We're gonna be reading Detective Comics number 1 from the New 52 as a sort of prelude to it. So just the one issue. We'll do that somehow, and then it'll be the main 5 issues of Death of the Family. I'll leave links to all of that in the description below of the YouTube video. That is, if you want to go buy it, just go to the YouTube video. It'll be in the description there. So yeah, that'll be it. I'm very, very excited for it. It's one of my absolute favorite Batman stories.
So are we going to be having your brother as a guest?
Yes, we have.
Yes.
Jacob's going to be coming back for the next episode. That's very exciting. Yeah, he's read Court of Owls before, so he's never continued the Scott Snyder stuff. It's been a while since he read Court, but he's doing Death next. So yeah, I actually just gave him the volumes today to read. So there's that.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, it'll be really fun. So thank you guys so much for listening. Until next time, this has been Joey Morgan
and Jacob Licklider.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.